I'm the CEO of Art Frankly, and I'm happy to introduce you to my Frank Friday collaborator, Ellie Hayworth. Ellie is the founder of Hayworth Communications Consultancy. Hayworth is committed to promoting intrepid ideas in art and design, and Ellie has grown her business to command a full scope of client services, including public relations, content development, business strategy, strategic partnerships, you name it, Ellie can help you. And today we are chatting with Art Frankly's first ever Frank Talk participant, Kristina Lopez Adduci. Kristina also introduced me to Ellie, so this is going to be a really fun conversation.
Yes.
Kristina is the founder and CEO of House of Puff, as well as a serial entrepreneur. In 2015, Kristina founded Art Zealous, an online art zine dedicated to bringing the latest art exhibitions, daily news, developments from galleries, museums, and events to the next generation of art collectors. She currently serves as editor-at-large at the publication. After personally experiencing the medical benefits of cannabis, Kristina conceived House of Puff. Her goal was to create the elevated cannabis accessories she wanted for herself. Leveraging her art world context, she developed the company's MVP, the Lit Kit. Kristina is embarking on House of Puff collaborations with artists, and she just launched the first edition with Paula Flores. Ellie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Karline. And Kristina, this is very, very exciting to be speaking with you today. So thanks so much for taking some time.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Two of my favorite people. This is fantastic.
Yes, it's a wonderful reunion. So we're happy to be convening on Zoom. So Kristina, as Karline mentioned, you remain at the helm of Art Zealous, and we really, garnered our relationship through the age of the elevated art blog. You were looking to engage with an art curious audience and give them kind of great education, if you will, into the art world. And you have since pivoted, as Karline mentioned, into House of Puff and really destigmatizing cannabis and creating an elevated lifestyle brand out of it. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the evolution and how the two either inform each other or, maybe how you've digressed a bit?
So Art Zealous, I launched Art Zealous when I moved to the city because I felt like there wasn't a publication speaking to me, right? I didn't know much about the art world. It felt very high level. And I wanted a website that was very short form, listicles of 10, art events to go to, 50 artworks under $500 and art galas to go to meet young professionals. And, House of Puff simply wouldn't be what it is without my involvement in the arts community, specifically in New York. So being steeped in contemporary art for several years, it really refined my eye and made me want everything around me to have more meaning. And that included the way that I use cannabis for my health.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, as someone who knew you through Art Zealous and knew Art Zealous very intimately and now knows House of Puff quite intimately as well, you obviously also cut your teeth at editorial and creating a beautiful kind of story and a lifestyle brand. And I'm sure Art Zealous had a lot to do with that kind of application of the storytelling component. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty good writer because of Art Zealous, and I learned a lot about everything from copywriting to SEO. I mean, SEO is especially important to people in the cannabis space because we're still not allowed to post on Instagram ads or Google ads or Facebook ads. So the roundabout way to do that is creating powerful and having an aggressive content marketing strategy, and SEO is just a great way to do that. And I would have never in a million years known what the heck SEO. I didn't even know what it stood for. I kid you not. With Art Zealous, I had to get scrappy, and it was just me in the beginning, and I had to learn everything. I had to wear multiple hats, and so the drawing room, which is House of Puff's editorial site, really is a testament and a little wave at Art Zealous and what I learned from growing that, for sure.
I love it. Can you tell us a little bit about the story behind House of Puff? So you mentioned having a very personal relationship to the medical benefits of marijuana and cannabis. Tell me a little bit more about actually, founding this company and bringing it to life with your vision.
Yeah. So House of Puff was founded based out of my own need, right? As I, talk about in a lot of my interviews, I am from the art world. I like nice things. I have nice things. I'm an art collector myself. And when I started to use cannabis later in life, not in college, when I was probably 26 or 27, I wanted something beautiful to leave out on my bedroom nightstand or on my coffee table. And at the time, now there's beautiful accessories everywhere because of the green rush. But at the time, I couldn't find just a beautiful pink pipe I could just leave out that, Abuela wouldn't think anything was like, she thinks it's a lipstick holder or a piece of artwork. And that's what I wanted. And I couldn't find anything. I wasn't going down to St. Mark's and getting a blue and black phallic bong. That's just not my style. And I didn't want to put it in my closet. So I talked to a business advisor of mine and I said, listen, I can't find anything out there. And the best advice for any entrepreneur is if you can't find it, if you make it yourself. And so that's what I did. And, I reached out to a lot of the people I had interviewed for House of Puff, specifically women and BIPOC artists. That's very important to the DNA of Art Zealous and House of Puff. And so I was put in contact with a ceramicist of a friend that I had interviewed, and we created the La Pipe as part of the lit kit, and we couldn't keep it in stock until this day. We still use that artist design pipe, but because of the demand, we produce it, we commercially manufacture it because so many people wanted it. So it's just a beautiful story about how Art Zealous and House of Puff kind of come full circle, based on my own need and my anxiety issues. And trying cannabis for the first time was, for those, who are dealing with anxiety or sleep problems and are thinking about using cannabis, do your research, of course. And that's what I did, because there are cannabis strains that make you anxious and you should absolutely not smoke or ingest them before you go to bed. And so it took a while for me to kind of find out what was good for me and my body. And when I did, I never looked back.
I love that. And I kind of want to circle back on a point that you raised. Speaking about BIPOC artists, and I mean, Kristina, House of Puff really is destigmatizing, cannabis as a lifestyle, but you are also a Puerto Rican American. I am a Cuban American. And I think there is something that we feel is very near and dear to both of our brands to be able to elevate stories. So maybe can you tell us a little bit more about how you've navigated, you've worked with or partnered rather with certain individuals like Flor de Maria Chocolates, and, just tell me a little bit more about how you go about thinking through who you're going to collaborate with and what artists, their stories that you would like to elevate.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible to tangibly support women and the BIPOC community, right? For me, that was always like number one brand pillar. I'm working with women of color and people of color. That's just important to me. And as a Puerto Rican woman in the cannabis space, there's not a lot of us. It's sort of like the art world where there's a lot of white men with money at the top. And at first I dipped my toe in and I felt out of place and I hated that feeling. And then I got a great advice from somebody from Caniclusive. It's an amazing organization in the cannabis community. And she said, you got to keep showing up. Don't feel like just because you're the only woman or the only Latina at a conference, that you should just turn around and go home. You have to keep showing up because our voices have to be heard. And that forever will stick with me, to have the courage to, I'm here and I'm a Latina, I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a cannabis consumer. I'm like the triple whammy. Like people do not understand me. And so one way to do that is, House of Puff teams up with incredible artists. You mentioned Flor de Maria, the chocolate bars are back there. These are our Paula Flores, rolling papers. This artwork is called Grass Level. And it's a piece of art in your hand. and it's part of the House of Puff DNA, and it's really exciting, and we cannot wait to team up with more artists. So if anybody they want to throw my way, please at the House of Puff on Instagram, email hello@houseofpuff. I'd love to hear from your audience.
I love it. And those are beautiful. So Paula Flores is your first official artist collaboration. Can you tell us a little bit about what that, just kind of what the project pipeline looked like? I anticipate a lot of the work was done virtually or remotely, considering the world we're living in. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about how you and Paula worked together to collaborate to create this beautiful product.
So Paula was one of the first women that we interviewed for Art Power Women. I don't know if you guys remember that that column that we did on Art Zealous, and we featured a new woman every month. And when I saw her artwork for the first time, I just thought, oh my goodness, that would look amazing on rolling papers or a rolling tray. And so we reached out to her, and she was really candid about not only her practice, but her cannabis use as it relates to her practice. If you read the interview on the drawing room, she really gets into detail about how, she uses cannabis for sleep issues, and how a lot of artists really use it to pump up their creativity. If they're stuck on a piece of artwork, right, and they consume cannabis, it kind of, like with most people, you kind of look at something in a different way, and you can kind of finish your masterpiece, if you will. And so we always want to support the fine art practices of our artists, and we never want to take away from, this isn't a private art collection. And so there are a lot of loopholes, not loopholes, there are a lot of hurdles that you have to get through to kind of, license an artwork.
Sure, absolutely.
And it was, the one thing that stood out to us was her practice really focuses on saving the environment. And again, another important issue with Art Zealous or House of Puff is, environmental issues and ESG. And so, this is organic, unbleached hemp. That was important to Paula. So we really collaborate and make sure that the artist is comfortable with what we're delivering, because at the end of the day, I mean, this is her artwork, and you can buy rolling papers anywhere, but people are buying these because of her beautiful artwork.
Sure. And the intentionality behind it. And again, I think it's about kind of elevating the experience and, being more thoughtful about where you're investing your money. Yeah. So no, I think that's really exciting. And Kristina, you mentioned, and I know personally, that you have two beautiful young daughters. They are twins, and you're a wonderful and very family oriented, kind of young entrepreneurial mom. Can you tell us a little bit about how, you are a serial entrepreneur and how you've managed, having a really tapped in home life and also balancing nurturing two exciting companies to fruition?
I really appreciate that. And they miss their DT Ellie, just so you know.
I miss them as well.
It starts, my role model, as both of you know, is my mother, Dr. Debbie Salas Lopez. So it's really, I'm supremely fortunate to sort of have her as my role model as I was becoming a mom for the first time. Unexpectedly had twins, was not expecting to have two. It was like, holy, what am I going to do? How am I going to run my business, my two businesses? How am I going to be a good wife? How am I going to be a good parent? And I think every mom and human being goes through that. And so there were times where I had to really grab myself, and there were a few, moments where my anxiety did get the best of me. But I just, at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm working for them, and I want to be a role model for them, just like my mom was a role model for me. So I want them to see, if you're passionate about something, go for it. Keep working, and you can have it all. You can have a good work life balance relationship. And during the pandemic, lucky enough, like, we're all stuck inside together. So they see mommy working, and mommy, I haven't put on makeup in a few weeks. So today they were like, your eyes, mommy, they look so nice. Mommy's doing something very important with her friends today. So, it takes effort, and it takes, I'm so lucky I have a great support system. And I think I don't know what I would do without that support system. I would not be able to run Art Zealous and House of Puff without my incredible family and my friends, let's be honest. So It's been hard, but you know, you got to make it work. When you're passionate about something, you do what you do. The hustle is real.
Well, I may be biased, but I can personally attest to the fact that you're an excellent role model and your entire family is just, comprised of excellent role models. So it's wonderful to see you doing so well. And I think, Kristina, it's worth also noting, I mean, we are sitting right now in front of what is a new both backdrop and kind of social space, and there is a new content platform on YouTube from the House of Puff family. So can you tell us a little bit about this big milestone that you recently rolled out?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, this is my YouTube set, AKA I've turned my pool house into the YouTube studio, and my husband he's just not having a good time with it because I have all of these lights and all these products. I'm making CBD cocktails. I'm spilling crap all over the place. But during the pandemic, we really had to evaluate how are we reaching our customers. Again, with the, we launched the editorial site, The Drawing Room, but YouTube is the second largest search engine. And my business partner, Holly Hager, who formerly of Curacious, said, we have to start a YouTube channel. If we're gonna be stuck inside for a long time, people are craving content. They're craving elevated content. We call it high culture, because
I love it.
If you Google how to roll a joint, or how to make a THC infused brownie, a lot of the times you're seeing back to old white men, and I'm just not that kind of consumer, and neither are our customers. And so we want to create this high culture content where we're featuring recipes, how-tos. Today we just launched how to set the table inspired by the terpene mirror scene. So, beautiful Hermes plates and tablecloths. And that's just who we are as a brand. And it's just really exciting to put content out there that I think women are desiring. And, the uptick in cannabis use during the pandemic has been at an all-time high. And we're seeing that through, we'll get reports of what people are Googling. And the minute that New Jersey legalized it, how to roll a joint went up to 100,000 search. Because, people are starting to slowly warm up to the idea of like, wow, cannabis is not only, I could use it for my, wellness, but I could use it to substitute alcohol and things like that. So with At Home with House of Puff, we're really just producing content that our audience wants and that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah. And I think, there's still, to me, feels like an application from your history in the art world. We're so process-based. We want to know about, how to live with art, how to speak about art, how to make it a part of your lifestyle, how to build a collection that you really feel psychological reward from, and at the end of the day, I think it's really beautiful to see that not only are you bringing visibility to a lifestyle, you're elevating a lifestyle, and you're also, I think, taking it out of just kind of I wouldn't say juvenile, but a more kind of college age. There seems to be a stigma.
Yeah,
exactly. No, so I think it's really exciting to see that there's now a channel that individuals can tune into to learn a little bit more.
You always say it best, Ellie, I tell you.
Thank you, Kristina. So we love to kind of round out our conversations with a certain set of questions that speak about kind of professional practice and different just, tenets, if you will, of professional lives that individuals can take home from this conversation. So what is one thing that you do every day in your professional life that you would, suggest that everybody else should do to stay on top of their game?
Besides smoke cannabis? No, I'm just No, I actually don't consume cannabis every day. One thing that I do every day to say I drink a lot of water. I mean, absurd amounts of water. And for me, if I am slightly dehydrated, my brain does not function. Like I am not productive. And so I have like a big gallon, but I take everywhere with me. My pool house is my office. So they make fun of me that I carry out my big gallon of water every single day. But people forget, hydration, and it's all part of your focus. It just helps with every part. It helps with my anxiety. And
Absolutely.
And I know that's probably not the answer you thought I was going to say, but people don't drink enough water.
No, and I think I have to tell you, everyone in this Zoom room, as well as the viewers probably are getting the sense that I'm a very active person. And if it weren't for having my Swell water bottle, which I'll do a selfish plug to Swell, there is not a clear kind of focus, I feel like, throughout the day, or a very kind of clean energy stream. So I think that's actually a great personal best practice. I love it. And then if you were to say, if we were speaking to someone who's aspiring to either get into the art world or to launch a lifestyle brand, what is a set of best practices, or even just an interview, best practice that you can offer someone who's looking to get into the biz?
It's emotional intelligence. It is EQ. I never hire anybody who does not have good EQ. And it's just, I think I was taught that by my mother, and good, good vibes, right? Sometimes you just can't pinpoint why you like somebody or why you think that they would be a good fit for your team. Go with your gut, because your gut is never wrong. And even if somebody, doesn't have a certain skill, almost everything is teachable. And if you have a good feeling about them and you're willing to take them on as a risk, then just do it.
Yeah. Oh, I think that is an amazing takeaway. And then our kind of last concluding question that we love to ask is, it's obviously been a very challenging year. It seems like you very gracefully pivoted to address a number of challenges, and then therefore the market needs. But what is one positive takeaway that you hope to kind of keep close to the vest as we move into the new year?
One of the challenges that we faced was there was a clay shortage on the East Coast, and a lot of our products, because of the pandemic and the supply,
absolutely,
everything got clogged and manufacturing just sort of stopped. And of course, my first reaction was, well, how am I going to produce product? How am I going to make money? And looking back, I wish I would have just practiced more patience. Timing is everything, because when we did decide to launch our products at that, I truly feel everything happens for a reason, and it was just the right moment. So just to be patient with yourself and be easy on yourself and others around you. We don't know what everybody else is going through. I'm fortunate enough where everybody in my family is healthy, but I unfortunately can't say the same for everybody else's. So be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, trust the process. And, we're all in this together. So I learned to be more patient, absolutely, without a doubt.
I love it. I mean, I think we've learned a lot from this interview, but if we're going to end on a note, I think both patience and being easy on yourself are two very important tenets. So Kristina, honestly, it's always a pleasure, and always both personally and professionally. But I really appreciate that you took the time today, and it's just been really fun to chat with you for this Frank Friday.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for having me, ladies.